Welcome to the Generational Dental Wealth Podcast. Join us as we chat about oral health and money matters. Let's keep the generations smiling together. Welcome to the Generational Dental Wealth Podcast with Kingsley Ifedi, CPA.
And Dr. Jermaine Ifedi. It's a pleasure to have you on today. We're so excited to bring this body of work to you, this collection of information. We're going to be hopping into a lot of good topics. We're going to even go into why we decided to put this together. But first, we're going to just start with some introductions, and then we'll start to hop into the meats of it, man. Go on, give it to
Sounds good. Got your quick intro from me. My name is Kingsley Ifedi, obviously little brother to Dr. Jermaine Ifedi. Love helping dentists, love helping business owners, love helping professionals just like him and other professionals so that you can become a better dental professional, a better dental practice owner so that you can do what you do best, right? And that's serve your patient base. And that's doing what you were pretty much born to do. Yeah. You know, shameless plug in there. I don't know if we have any Aggies. Attended North Carolina A&T myself, big proponent, big lover of all things HBCU. So, you know, I'm excited to get the show on the road.
So for myself, Dr. Jermaine Ifedi, again, brothers here, be able to give you a lot of great information. So for myself personally, I went to Chapel Hill for dental school, and then I also went to East Carolina for undergrad, and that's where I got my master's of business administration. So it's been a 10-year journey. It's been a lot of fun, and now we're here today. I've been practicing for a few years now. I've done travel dentistry for years, and now we opened up our first dental practice, Empire Dental Group, last year. So it's been an exciting process of just learning so much throughout the process. And as the entire thing has unraveled itself, it has become more clear that there are not as many resources specifically devoted to the financial side of the dentist.
It's true.
Right?
It's true.
Suit behind the white coat to make sure everything comes together collectively. And that's why we decided to bring together the Generational Dental Wealth Podcast, because we understand that there is a link between being a fantastic clinician, but also being a great business person. And in next subsequent episodes, we're going to get into a little bit more about our individual backgrounds and how they have molded together to come and create this collective body of work. But this first episode really just focused on being able to speak on what is generational dental wealth? What is it and why it is even important? You know, as clinicians, we always hear about CE to get our clinical game and get everything faster and more effective. But there isn't too much financial CE, things that can help us become better clinicians. I'm a strong proponent of the fact that to be our top level clinician within ourselves, we have to be free of any financial motives. And how do we get to that level of financial freedom mentally that we can always present the best treatment plan for the patients, always give the best possible result for them? How do we treatment plan as if everyone was family? We achieve that by making sure there's no financial motives that's in the back of our minds thinking, okay, if I do this particular filling, I get X amount of production. I get 30%, 33%, right? But if I do a crown on it, I could double that, right? But you get to that level of freedom when the finances are out of it because you've already handled your business, right? You've acquired your assets in appropriate manners, right? You got the income generating tools that are working behind the scenes. So you being a dentist is truly you living your life's passion versus using it as an avenue to create and generate income.
So I guess we can hop into it, the $1 million question, and while we're all here, right? You know, trying to define what is generational dental wealth to each of us, right? And, you know, honestly, and you'll probably experience this yourself. Everybody may have their own definition, right? So we're not here to say that this is the only definition out there, but this is the definitions that we've decided means the most to us. So I would encourage you, try to figure out that for yourself as a dental professional, as a professional in general. Ask yourself, what does that mean? So you want to hop into that?
Yeah. I mean, in reality, generational dental wealth is truly just generational wealth that is created via the avenue of dentistry. That's truly what it is. But now we have to really get into the fact of what is your definition of generational wealth. So for us, we visited this, believe it or not, we visited this question almost 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow. Has it been that long?
We recorded our first episode for this particular podcast about 4 or 5 years ago, and we were defining what is generational wealth. and we were going through, is it money? Is it resources? Like, what exactly is it? And we came to a common definition that it is really the generational passage of information and resources to make life and the pursuit of your purpose easier for the next generation. So again, there's no dollar amount that can determine you have now hit generational wealth, right? Yeah. There's no amount of assets that can determine you have now hit generational wealth. But what it can mean is that for the next generation, things are going to be a little bit easier for them. If they want to become a dentist, have you now paved the way for now it to be clear for them? If they want to become a CPA, have you created the avenues that all they have to do is their portion to contribute to the higher mission? So that's the goal today. How do we create paths for the next generation and for everybody around us to make it easier for them, and use the skill set that we have honed called dentistry as the avenue to get to that particular point?
Exactly. And if I was to, define it for myself, I think you hit it right on the head. I think generational wealth to me means freedom and the ability to choose. I think freedom is the ability to choose. It's probably you that told me long ago when I was an undergrad at East Carolina University that the best thing you can do for yourself is leave yourself options. You never want to be forced into one or the only decision that you only had. I remember going, it might have been my junior or senior year. It might have been my junior year. And I was just talking to Doc, and he was telling me, we'd talk about the master's program. And he said, the only job you have right now is to give myself options whenever the time comes to being part of any master's program, right? Because I didn't know where I wanted to go for master's. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But he said, don't worry about that. Just make sure you keep your grades up. Make sure you do the things that you need to do so that you can have options when it's all said and done. So to me, I guess the biggest takeaway for me when I think about generational wealth in general is giving yourself the freedom and then giving the next generation options to choose. Doesn't mean that your son or your daughter it doesn't mean that they're going to be a dentist, but give them the ability to say, you know what, I'm coming into this world and I have the option to make what I want out of it. Right, and not leave them to where they have to go down this avenue or they have to follow your footsteps, because in reality, right, we all have our own definitions of this.
Yeah. That's good. Ultimately, it feels like we're all trying to get to the same point, and that's freedom.
Freedom, yeah.
That's freedom to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it. To be able to leave behind what you want to leave behind and be able to create the kind of impact in the world that you want to create. I'm going to say something that might blow a lot of, especially young dentists' minds. And when I say young dentists, I mean young in their career, not age-wise. In reality, once you start generating income, you start making money as a dentist, we can all buy very similar things. Mm-hmm. If you want a Mercedes-Benz, you can get a Mercedes-Benz. If you want a large home, you can get a large home. It's not to say that if you want something, you can't go get something, right? Even if you don't even have the money yet. I mean, there's a doctor loan program that we're going to discuss in a future episode that they will let you buy a home for almost, depending on what you qualify for. Some people can get $500,000 without even working a day in a dental practice.
Yeah.
So if the goal is to buy things, you can already do that, right? Yeah. This podcast, this vlog is not going to necessarily teach you how to go buy things, right? But what it's going to teach you is how do you set yourself up that you're not really tied to those things, that those things don't dictate your decision making, right? That those things are truly what we just said, they're things, and they're not necessarily dictators of your financial habits or your decisions within your career.
Yeah.
That's what this is for. How do you set your life up in a way that your life is a producer, right? Versus your two hands being the tools that produce, right? Yeah. The one common message that we're going to continue to preach across is that every dollar should have a mission. That's one thing that we always talk about, especially when you put your CPA hat on, is your paycheck from last year, January. How is that still working for you today in July 2023 or August 2023? How is that still working for you?
Yeah. And, I think you bring up some really good points. I think, income levels don't dictate your relationship with money. I think your relationship with money, especially as a CPA, talking with business owners and getting their perspective, and a $5,000 transaction is the same thing as a $500,000 transaction, just depending on your relationship with money. I think that was one of the biggest pieces of advice you gave me, especially early on in COVID when everybody thought they were stock traders and day traders, was, learn the principles, right? Because at the end of the day, a $5,000 transaction is the same thing as a $500,000 transaction. And that's what I found with just a lot of business owners is, because they have some success early on because of their skill set, maybe a dentist having, the ability to earn a lot of money with their hands, the relationship with money never changes. So they don't see it as a tool to be utilized. They see it as a resource to be spent, right? And just as we all know, right, especially in this day and age, income rises, so does expenses, right? And the gap is never created. Figure out, how can we widen that gap between income and expenses? How can I help change your relationship with money so that you can have an abundance of it, and not just in a dollar sense, but in the way that you see it, So exciting stuff.
I think it's a really good point that we have now tiptoed into. We're not going to delve too deep because this is just an introductory episode to let y'all know that what the point of this show is. Exactly. But you touched on it briefly, and that is not really about the dollar amount. It's really the principles behind it.
The principles, right? That's good.
And that's what this show is going to be about. The goal isn't for me to sit here and discuss with you how do you grow your income from $100,000 to $100 million. That's not the point. The point is, how can we start and reintroduce financial principles that can be implemented into anyone's life to scale.
Yeah.
Meaning that regardless if you're an associate or you own 10,000 practices, the psychology of money behind of what we're speaking of, how can it translate into your individual life?
Exactly.
So when it comes to finances, again, just like you already discussed, when people were day trading and moving monies around in different ways, it doesn't matter if it's $5,000 or $500,000. The main point is, can you afford to lose this because you're not knowledgeable about this particular area? Mm-hmm. If you can afford to lose it, then it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's basically gambling at that point. So if it comes up good, then cool, it comes up good. Listen, one thing that is very common is that you hear a lot of people's gains in the stock market, but never their losses. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what this show is here to talk about. It's here to talk about the gains and the losses so you can hear it from a holistic perspective. So I can tell you that, hey, when I first got into Bitcoin, I was up huge. And then the backswing happened and I sold too quickly and then I was down. Then I was back in. So it's just the ebbs and the flows of finances.
And money is a very emotional topic, right? Yeah. And, the more objective we can be around it, the more clarity we can have in our decision making, right? We all learned it early on in the stock market during COVID, right? Money is a very emotional resource. It has very little logic behind it sometimes, especially when you are entering avenues like that. So it's, how can we take the emotional side out of money and put on have logical data behind it? Say, okay, we have this nest egg of money, right? Can we go ahead and, I don't want to get too ahead, but can we go ahead and put an equipment in use or a CBCT machine in use? I'm not going to give away too much too soon, but how can we put your money to work, especially, like I said, seeing how we can accelerate a tax deduction for you, right? Takes your tax liability down from $70,000 to zero, right? Year-end tax planning. Instead of saying, I want to take an extra vacation for the year, how about we say, hey, how about you wait until January, take the same vacation, but let's go ahead and put that extra money towards getting you a machine in the dental practice so that we can go ahead and get the accelerated depreciation all in 1 year. Right? So it's just getting out of the emotional state and getting more into, okay, how can I use this as a resource? Right? How can I use this to benefit me holistically? Right?
Man, you hop into some game right now. You hop into some game right now. I mean, just truly understanding that there has to be a separation between your money and the value behind money. I feel like a lot of people are enamored with money or in love with money, but don't really understand what money is used for or what it's supposed to be used for. Mm-hmm. So that is the premise of this show. so we can detach the emotional component that is intertwined with money. Again, when it comes to your pockets, when it comes to a purse, why do we think it's called a purse? It's because it's so personal. When it comes to money, it is one of the most intimate things that you can discuss on a public forum like this, because when it comes to it, people don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about it. So we want to create that safe environment for us to be able to have these open discussions, and for us to be able to call money out for what it is.
Yeah.
It is not necessarily, it doesn't run everything, right? Yeah. It's a useful tool, but as we just said, it's a tool. As a dentist, right, we have a handpiece, which is very useful in the things that we do, but a handpiece isn't everything. If I'm doing a denture, a handpiece isn't going to help me. If I'm cleaning a patient's teeth, a handpiece might not help me.
Yeah.
Right? I need different tools to be able to get things done. But for a lot of us, especially when it comes to dentistry, we've been taught a false narrative that money is the solver of all things. When in reality, being able to control your time, being able to have a great team around you, to be able to affect change in your community, to be able to truly feel like you're making an impact on the oral health of your city, these are the real payoffs, right? Money is one way to measure our input and output. But the harder way is to be able to feel, and do I feel fulfilled in my career? Yeah. Do I feel like what I do on a daily basis is actually helping people? When it comes to just calculating my paycheck, again, that leaves so much room for error. And that's why we hear a lot of people saying that, dentistry is growing in levels of dissatisfaction when it comes to, do I want to be a dentist? When it comes to suicide rates within healthcare professionals, dentistry is one of the highest. Why?
Yeah.
When you can work 3 or 4 days a week, how could something that gives so much freedom also have such a dark side to it? And it's because we're putting too much stock into the areas that don't deserve the stock. So if we can understand first and foremost that money is a tool, but it is not the ultimate. Yeah. That there is a psychological component that goes into this entire thing. Now we can start breaking down what these areas are and what the true value lies. I'm not going to hop too much into it, man. We're going to have some fun on this show.
Well, obviously today was just the introduction. Just wanted to get our feet wet, for lack of better words. Just want to bring it home. Final thoughts, around generational dental wealth. Go ahead and bring it home for us.
Ultimately, it is really us putting money in its place. Yeah. It's us really understanding that money is not the ultimate master when it comes to dentistry. Mm-hmm. We have to understand that there's a reason why suicide rates are climbing within dentistry. There's a reason that dentistry within healthcare is starting to reach the top when it comes to career dissatisfaction. Yeah. It's because we're tying the ability to produce, and dentistry is a very production-driven industry within medicine, right? In other areas in medicine, you might be doing examinations on a daily basis, or you might be doing XYZ on a daily basis, but within dentistry, your ability to earn income is directly tied to your ability to produce. That's a lot of pressure having to come in and produce every single day, right? So it's up to us to now bring back the aspects of dentistry that used to be so fantastic about dentistry. The fact that you can work 3 or 4 days a week and be done, and be able to spend time with your family, be able to let your team go out and be able to enjoy a nice life with those that they love, be able to get out by a great time, offices that open by 7 and close by 3 so they can pick up their kids. There's just so many aspects that if we just look at the bottom line in a dollar, that we're going to be missing. The ability to be able to be a leader in your community when it comes to oral health care, to understand you can transform your entire city when it comes to their knowledge about the importance of the link of the mouth and the rest of the body. I mean, we are literally superheroes if we tap into that superpower. But if we leave our superpowers untouched and we're just worrying about collecting more, right? How much percent can I negotiate on my contract? How much more can I squeeze out of every interaction? We are missing the main source of compensation that is available to dentists, and that is fulfillment. Yeah. So throughout this entire podcast, we're going to be trying to find ways that you can access that level of fulfillment in other ways than just income. Maybe it's through asset allocation and growth. So now you can really feel like I'm doing my biblical needs, which is leaving an inheritance for my children's children. It's not just inheriting money. It's inheriting a sense of fulfillment and pride in your name and the things that you do and the way you conduct yourself. And everywhere you go, they always know you as you're in the community and you're helping the community. We're not going to go too much deeper in this. We appreciate you, man. Kingsley, I'm going to let you sign us off.
Yeah, just throw my last cherry on the top. Exactly. Everything you said, I co-sign it. John 10:10, for I've come to give you life and life more abundant. As a CPA, as an accountant, as a person who has their master's in accounting, my job is to help you have more life, right? And like we've already discussed, just want to go ahead and throw that cherry on the top. So go ahead and check us out. Stay tuned with us. If you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. Anyways, this is Kingsley Ifedi.
This is Dr. Jermaine Ifedi.
And this is the Generational Dental Wealth Podcast. See you next time.
Bless.